to increase the land area of our state parks that have been used more than ever by citizens of North Carolina. So thanks for that.
Thank you, Governor.
We can go ahead to our other matters, the UNC Healthcare System matters. Heather Moorfield. Is she with us or is she remote as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi. Okay. Hi, Governor. Hi, Council of State members. This is Heather Moorfield. Thank you for having me. I have 2 leases to share with you this morning and happy to answer any questions you might have about them.
So any questions for Ms. Moorfield about the leases that have been sent to us? All right, hearing none. Thank you, Ms. Moorfield. Any luck on Commissioner Causey or Ms. Ayers? I think those are the 2 issues we still have to do.
They were on.
Sir,
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt. This is Stephanie Ayers. I now have sound. I apologize.
Thanks, Stephanie. If you can bring before the board, the council, I'm sorry, the State Ports Authority matters.
Yes, sir. I'd be happy to do that. So in your agenda, the project is listed as Project Speed. It's on the agenda that way to allow the parties additional time to work on economic development aspects of this project. But we can now clarify for you that the buyer is SPH Wilmington LLC. And I'd be happy to answer any other questions you might have.
Okay. Any questions for Ms. Ayers on this issue? So do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Moved by the Attorney General, second by the Secretary of State. Is there further discussion or debate? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no.
Aye.
The ayes have it, and the motion is approved.
Thank you.
Back to Commissioner Causey.
I think that was Commissioner Causey.
I don't know, it sounded like Commissioner Troxler to me, but
Yeah, I'm just.
Commissioner Causey, are you there? We're talking to Apollo 13 here.
Your broadband investments are coming at exactly the right moment.
I knew we needed to work on that.
He called in early and we did a run through too.
Well, I mean, we can put a cell phone on the table if we want. I'll just give him, I'll put the microphone on it. How about that?
I apologize. We've called his assistant to let him know we couldn't hear him. And if, okay, Governor and the council, I can also go through the items too. They're routine. And one of them's a big one that's time sensitive. So we definitely want to handle it.
Yeah, we definitely want to do it. But let's wait and see if we can't get a hold of him first. And let's go ahead and do our roundtable, start our roundtable. You calling him up?
He's calling back. Can you see if Commissioner Causey's joined yet? Yes, under the phone number that they provided as a substitute this morning.
We've called his assistant too to let him know we can't hear him.
Why don't we go ahead and start with our roundtable?
Hey, Mike.
Oh, you got it?
I'm gonna put you on speaker, all right? All right, Mike.
Okay, Commissioner Causey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Outstanding. All right, I'm going to let you present fire insurance matters, sir.
Thank you, Governor. On page 1, shows the fund balance of $17 million, a little over $17 million. We do have some other funding that's coming in within the next few weeks, so we should see that fund balance go up to about $25 million over the next month or so. And on the next page 2, there's 3 items that the Department of Insurance requests permission to pay from the State Property Fire Insurance Fund. Item 1 is Correctional Enterprises, a fire for $133,822.14. And item 2 is Pisgah Forest flood damage, $15,000. And item 3 on UNC Wilmington, this is still from Hurricane Florence, It's the 18th submission, and it's substantial. It's showing $16 million, but this will be paid from other reinsurance, and it's a result of the mediation. And I have Brian Heckle, our Deputy Commissioner of Risk Management, there to answer any questions, if you have any questions on that. But I move that we pay those 3 items.
Commissioner moves that we pay the 3 items on the agenda today. Is there a second to that motion? Second by Treasurer Falwell. Is there, I'm sorry? Yeah, question, further discussion, Secretary Marshall.
Obviously, you added these 3 items and it exceeds the budget amount, the amount in the fund. So
How do they do that?
how do they do that? Yeah, I mean, there is some money he mentioned coming in, and he mentioned mediation and other, that makes me nervous to be that close.
Right.
Or in debts.
We're good.
A little less.
It's a little less, but
A little less.
it's wipes it
16
out.
16 is 30.
So you want to respond, sir?
No, that's
If you could
15,000.
identify yourself for the record,
I'm sorry.
please.
Yeah, I'm Brian Heckle, Deputy Commissioner for Risk Management at the departments. The 16 million is actually reinsurance funds. So that is money that is going to come in the next 2 weeks from our reinsurance negotiations. So it's not shown here, but it's $16 million that will come in. We will hold that UNC Wilmington payment until it is time to make that payment.
Is this 18th submission the last one, or?
We should have one more. That should be around $6 million.
What's the total been for,
The whole claim
for Wilmington? It's
for UNC Wilmington. Right now it's at 51 million.
That place was devastated.
And
It really was.
for the whole state, it's about 71 million.
So further questions or debate? Motion's on the table and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
No. The ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. Thank you, Commissioner. Sorry about the communications issues.
Thank you, Governor.
Sir. We'll now have our roundtable. We'll begin with you, Madam Secretary. Secretary of State Marshall.
Thank you. Thank you, Governor. There's such a sense of euphoria at the Secretary of State's office. It's just unbelievable because, as you know, robust business creation started back when everything seemed to be closing down, but we now have our numbers for the second quarter, and the first half of 2022 was the second highest first half on record ever. Of course, the other one was the year before. While we've seen some moderation from the blistering pace of new creations, entrepreneurs over the last 18 months continue to create new businesses at a torrid pace. The first 2 quarters of 2022, as I said, they were the second and third highest quarters on record. New business creations for the second quarter of this year was 46,000 new business entities. The first quarter of this year was 47,000 new business entities. So that is a total of 93,000 for the first half of this year. And it is only slightly below the record-setting pace of the prior year, where we had 96. So we're only 3,000 short for the first half. These new business creations are in stark contrast to the first half of 2020, when new business creation totaled 5,200. So it's an 80% growth in 2 years. North Carolina's entrepreneurs are a key reason Moody's financial analyst firm declared North Carolina economy among the best in the country. And the state business climate was recently ranked by CNBC and others as the best in the nation. And I think we're all very, very proud of that. Our agency is doing everything possible to ensure that businesses can get up and start running quickly. Just last Monday, I announced that we've now added Robeson County, that's our 15th county, to our Rural Rise initiative that links new business creators to local business sources to help them achieve success. Now, RISE stands for Resources for Innovators, Startups, and Entrepreneurs. This bulletin is county specific to connect them with funding sources, communication sources, and a checklist, which is what so many folks have asked us to prepare. Now, a checklist for people starting businesses, in some cases, if it was on paper, would be about this long. But we are thrilled to be able to provide that to folks. We're going to be adding 4 more counties, 2 in Western North Carolina and Eastern County later on this month. So, Governor, I want to personally thank you for signing the RON legislation on July 8th. We worked 18 months with the stakeholders on that, and I know that there's a lot more work that has to go into it before the effective date of July 1 of 2023. But we certainly appreciate your support. The notary community is quite excited about this, and also some other provisions in the bill where they get to increase fees charged. So they're very, very happy about that. So thank you for signing that bill.
That modernization was necessary. Thank you for that report. I'm going to call on Commissioner Troxler to see if we can hear him.
Governor, I'm here.
Excellent. Good. I'll let you report, Commissioner.
Well, first we're getting checks out in the mounts for the damage from Tropical Storm Fred and the freeze. We are preparing for the Mountain State Fair. We are now 1 month and a few days away, and the State Fair is only 2 months and 11 days away.
Did you drop the mic on that one, Mr. Commissioner?
I'm having trouble with the communication, Governor.
You want to have the commissioner? We can hear you okay now, Commissioner, if you want to continue.
Okay. Well, I don't know how much you heard, but we are putting checks out for. Okay. Well, if you got that, then that's the end of my report.
Okay. Good enough. Commissioner Causey, are you on the line? And can we hear you? And we might need to do a phone call again. That's why I wanted to go ahead and call on him. Josh, you want to call him again? Okay. In the meantime, Treasurer Falwell.
Thank you, Governor. Just several things to bring up this morning. I want to recognize and welcome Chris Williams to the Council of State. You may recognize Chris as the host of the longest running business show on public broadcasting, Carolina Business Review. So thank you for being here. Just several items. One is on the issue of protecting consumers. I think I can explain what's going on with the audio, Governor. ZZ Top's in North Carolina this week, and that's, I think people are getting ready.
Somebody's beard got caught in the wiring.
So they're in Asheville, I think, tonight or tomorrow night, and then Greensboro on Friday or Saturday night. So that might explain a lot of stuff.
Are you going to be there? That's the question.
Yeah. Yeah. On the issue of protecting consumers, I wanted to put a shout out to Insurance Commissioner Causey. People still have quite an affinity for Joe Namath and J.J. Williams when it comes to Medicaid, supplemental Medicaid advertisements and policies. And he's been very helpful to us. We've had some vendors who have tried to put our APL, which is our state health plan APL, on literature going out representing that people need to buy this Medicare Advantage program as retirees of the state. And it's very confusing. I'll be 65 next year, and I can tell you I'm already getting tons of solicitations about getting on Medicare Advantage. And so Commissioner Causey and his staff put a cease and desist in to keep this vendor from doing this. The second time this vendor's done this. Our retirees really get into a vortex when they sign up on multiple Medicare Advantage programs. The program that we offer through this Treasurer's Office is 0 premium to the member, a $4 a month premium to the dependent, and no cost to the taxpayers. And there's no reason that anyone should be buying or soliciting or taking advantage of anything that Joe Namath or J.J. Walker are advertising on TV. So I wanted to thank Commissioner Causey for helping us put a stop to this, because for our retired folks, especially over 65, it's very confusing when they get a piece of mail that has the APL on it, which is our deal. Secondly, on the issue of math, I've already mentioned earlier that the state debt's going to fall 60% over 8 years. 5 of those years are in the rearview mirror, and the next 3 years are in the oven. We continued, obviously, to issue debt for Build NC at higher interest rates. But as far as the general obligation debt, we're in good shape. We are putting a call out. It won't quite be like changing your smoke alarms every 2 years, but I'm saying it to the Council of State for all of your departments. They really need to check their beneficiary forms through Orbit as far as their retirement is concerned. You all know that families can be complicated. And when we have state employees who are killed in the line of duty, who may have put Josh Dobson down as their beneficiary because you were sitting next to him and you weren't married at the time, you didn't have kids at the time, that stuff needs to be updated. You can't imagine some of the heartbreak that we deal with at the Treasurer's Office when somebody puts somebody down as their beneficiary, as their annuitant, who's no longer in their life, no longer connected, when they have spouses and kids. It gets very, very complicated. So we're going to be having a campaign to have people once a year check all their beneficiaries on these very important plans to them. On the case of OSHR, this is sort of a request of you, Governor, since OSHR reports to you. We struggle when we don't adopt the policies as Council of State members that OSHR does adopt, because OSHR puts out these massive blasts to all of our employees, and then we're in the position of having to explain why we are doing something or why we're not doing something. So I would ask that you talk to the director about when our HR directors ask that certain things not be sent out, that we're not adopting policies that you've instituted. That's your business as the governor, but it doesn't put us in a vortex of having to explain. It creates a lot of chaos in HR. On the other hand, the legislative increase, for example, I think that's a great thing that OSHR should be blasting out to everybody because it applies to everybody. And just a little more fine point on the communication so that we're not in a vortex. Two very last things, Governor, thank you, and members of the Council of State for your time. I attended, Commissioner Dobson is also on this board, as well as the Lieutenant Governor, the Community College Awards this year. A mile or so from here is where Jim Valvano is buried, and any of you who have walked through the Oakwood Cemetery know that it literally says on his headstone, you're supposed to laugh a little, cry a little, and think a little. And that definitely happens at this award show. If you're ever interested in the issue of, I have a speech thing, I can't really say this word, but recidivism in our prison system, you should have been at this year's awards. The testimony of the people who got the Student of the Year and who received the Faculty Member of the Year is a true testament to some of the training that goes on in our prisons to get people educated so that they can have the joy of achievement and upward mobility in their life. I won't give the example of the young lady from Blue Ridge Community College. The gentleman was from Craven County Community College, but I say this because she said it. She was sold before she was a teenager. And was later incarcerated and recovered from that and has now earned her associate's degree in our community college system. It's a story that will absolutely take your breath. And so I just want to draw attention to the good work that we're doing at our community colleges, and also advise all of you when you get a solicitation in the mail from your local prison ministry, whether it's a breakfast, whether it's a donation, anything that you can do to help your local prison ministries is money and time well spent. And lastly, since it came up a few moments ago, I think that with the recent announcements of Cherokee County, where they paid out $44 million for one DSS type of issue, or whether it's Spring Lake, where we just paid out $3 million for an incident regarding not good actions on behalf of the police departments. oftentimes the council state hears these reports and they say the reinsurance took care of it, the reinsurance took care of it, the reinsurance took care of it. But the bottom line is that ultimately, once that happens and you have tens and tens of millions of dollars leaving these funds, the reinsurance rates are going to go up dramatically. And then it's going to be a part of all our operating budgets. And lastly, I just want to thank State Auditor Beth Wood, the Eastern Federal Prosecutor Mike Easley Jr., since I guess our last council state meeting, has indicted the individual from Spring Lake that the state auditor discovered had embezzled over $500,000 from the city of Spring Lake. There are still 35 vehicles missing in Spring Lake, Auditor Wood. We can't seem to find those yet. But for her work and all the work that she did, not just in East Laurinburg, but Spring Lake and about probably 38 other communities across North Carolina, Mike Easley Jr. would not have been able to make that indictment as quickly as he did. So I want to thank Auditor Wood for the work that she did and to get this to this point. Why does it matter to me in closing? Because all of you know that we have a felony forfeiture law on the books that allows us to take the pension away from people who are convicted of crimes in their public service duties. And we cannot do that subjectively. We can only do it when there's a conviction for the crime, whether it's Senator Fletcher Hartzell or embezzling Register of Deeds Laura Riddick or Wanda Green from Asheville, all parties, all genders, all races. That's why it's important to me, so that once these convictions happen, we can then go in and do what we need to do on the felony forfeiture. Very long report, but thank you for you and the council for your time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Auditor Wood. Superintendent Truitt.
Thank you, sir. It's great to be with all of you this morning. We are approaching this month the 1-year anniversary of the rollout of the Letters Professional Development that was included in the legislation that was passed in April of 2021 that will change the way that we approach early literacy instruction in our schools. This legislation was passed with bicameral and bipartisan support. The governor signed it a week later. And since that time, we have been rolling out this work to approximately 44,000 educators in our state. And if I could just briefly say that you mentioned, Treasurer, what happens in our prison systems. And I will tell you that the vast majority of incarcerated individuals were not reading proficiently when they entered 4th grade. This is long-time research that's been done nationally. And we know from an Annie E. Casey study, a decade old, that students who are not proficient in reading by the end of 3rd grade are 4 times likely to drop out of high school. And so we all remember those ads from the 70s and 80s about RIF, reading is fundamental, that came from Washington, D.C. It's even more true now than it was before. Probably most of us in this room, if we are of a certain age, learn to read by learning letter sounds. And then we learned how to string words together. This is AKA phonics. And in this nation, in the probably 70s and then certainly by the 80s, as a country, we moved away from a phonics-based approach to early literacy instruction. In fact, in 1987, California passed a mandate requiring that schools not teach phonics, but that they teach whole language instruction, which means you look at the word and you look at the shapes of the letters and you memorize the word. And that is not how the brain learns to read. Well, they passed that law in 1987, and by 1994, they were bottom of the pile. The only state worse than California for reading proficiency was Mississippi. Well, when we fast forward to 2014, Mississippi returned to a phonics-based approach to early literacy instruction, and in 2019, they were the only state in the country to see extensive gains in all subgroups of children in reading proficiency. So North Carolina legislative leaders, as well as the governor, as well as the State Board of Education and the Department of Public Instruction, have taken a page from Mississippi's playbook. And as I said, we are entering the 1-year anniversary of beginning this training. This is a very big endeavor for our teachers to have to undergo this professional development. It will, over 2 years, be about 180 hours of professional development. And it is literally retraining all of our pre-K through 5th grade teachers on how to teach reading to young students. And I am really excited to share with you that we have gotten our first snapshot of data since teachers have begun this training a year ago. And let me clarify that the training was broken down into 3 cohorts. So about 1/3 of our school district started a year ago, another third started in January, and the final third are starting this month. And at the beginning of this school year, coming out of the pandemic, only 27% of our kindergartners were proficient for kindergartners. And our end of year data that we've just gotten, in fact, I'm meeting with our diagnostic partners this afternoon to learn more, but 67% of our kindergartners are now proficient in reading at the end of this year. Coming into this school year, only 38% of our 1st graders were proficient, and now 63% are proficient. And this data also shows that North Carolina is growing faster than the rest of the country in catching up from the pandemic in reading. So it appears to be good news all around. And I look forward to sharing more in the weeks to come as we certify our data, and look forward to sharing it with the state board as well. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you, ma'am. I know there's a lot of hard work going on in summer programs across our state. I've been in these schools and talked to people, and a lot of good work. So thank you for that.
Yes, sir.
Attorney General Stein.
Superintendent, a question, just.
Sure.
So on the data from the 3 cohorts, are we seeing faster increase from cohort 1 that has a year under its belt from the 1st graders improvement, or is it too early to know what the data is going to show?
So at first blush, it does look that way, but I will know for sure this afternoon or in the days to come, let's say. Thanks. Thank you.
Attorney General Stein.
Thank you, Governor and Council State members. You all remember the big national opioid settlement we talked about last year, the $26 billion one. We have one last week for $6.6 billion. It didn't quite get the same hit, but by any measure, impactful. And it had to do with 2 companies, Teva and Allergan, but it was the same drugs. Allergan sold its generic drug business to Teva. And this is things like oxycodone, oxymorphone, fentanyl. And what we alleged was they marketed it improperly and did not put in sufficient protections to ensure that it wasn't diverted into the illegal drug trade. And so we have a settlement in principle. We're still working out some of the details. But with the $6.6 billion on top of the national opioid settlement, on top of another one we reached with another generic manufacturer, Mallinckrodt, we're at about $34 billion right now. And North Carolina's share is approaching $1 billion. All of it has to go to attacking the opioid crisis. And I've had the pleasure, honor of traveling the state and meeting with sheriffs, with prosecutors, with treatment providers. And there's so much innovation and effective work going on, and a lot of it's in consultation with the Department of Health and Human Services, that we are very hopeful that there are going to be a lot more people alive next year than otherwise would have been.
Thank you, sir, for that good work. Commissioner Dobson.
Thank you, Governor. Last month, I was able to attend my first National Association of Government Labor Officials meeting in National Harbor, Maryland. The purpose of NAGLO is to allow the state departments of labor to come together and collaborate on issues of shared interest. I enjoyed meeting other labor commissioners, directors, and administrators from more than a dozen states and to be able to learn from some of their experience and efforts. One thing I learned is that every Department of Labor is different. Most include an OSHA workplace safety component and a wage and hour division, but others house programs that we don't here in North Carolina, like unemployment insurance, workers' compensation, and apprenticeships. Even though none of our departments look exactly alike, I'm glad to now have a much broader network of folks across the country who are familiar with handling some of those same issues that we deal with workplace safety in North Carolina. In addition, I want to announce we are in the midst of quite a few leadership changes at the Department of Labor. On August 1st, Scott Mabry stepped into the role of Chief of Staff, replacing Art Britt, who retired on July 31st. Scott has many years of leadership experience with the Department of Labor in management and an expertise in safety and health. On September 1st, Jennifer Haywood will become our new OSHA OSH Director, Deputy Commissioner for Occupational Safety and Health Division. She replaces Kevin Beauregard, who will retire in September. Jennifer has worked for the department for many years and currently serves as Communications Director. I look forward to her stepping into her new role. Aaron Wilson will assume the role of Communications Director as Jennifer begins her new position. Aaron currently works in the Communications Division as a Public Information Officer. I look forward to Aaron's leadership as Communications Director. Paul Sullivan, who also has safety and health expertise, been with the department for a long time, I've appointed him as Assistant Director of Occupational Safety and Health. I'm sad to say goodbye to Art and Kevin. They've worked so hard for many, many years at the Department of Labor. And at the same time, I'm really excited about our new leadership team. One last thing, I want to give a shout out to Senate Pro Tem Berger, Speaker Moore, and you, Governor, for your work on the budget and getting us the resources at the Department of Labor that we need. We're not immune to the workforce shortage that we have in government and across our state, and there's no substitute for pay. Hopefully we can continue the trajectory in the right direction in increasing pay for all of our hardworking state employees, but 6% over a 2-year period and some things that I've been able to do internally is a very good start. So I want to thank you all, the three of you particularly, and the General Assembly, to show that we can govern in this state to do what's right for our state employees. I also want to give one last shout out to our Director of Government Affairs team who worked with you and your team and the legislature to make those things happen specifically for the Department of Labor. And that's Director of Government Affairs Julie Ryan and her legislative liaison Edgar Starnes for their work as well. It's a good first step. No budget's perfect, but really proud of the work that was done to get an increase in pay and some other things that we needed to keep the employees of North Carolina safe. Thank you.
Auditor Wood.
Thank you, Governor. A couple things this morning. First, I just want to make all agency heads aware of the fact there was some new legislation in the long session regarding the Council of Internal Audit and the act itself. There were 2 new appointees to that council and their CPAs. I'm glad to have the camaraderie, if you will, or the support with 2 additional CPAs. But we met this July, and I just want to make everybody aware of a couple of the things that were in that legislation. I also want to give a shout out to Senator Woodard and Senator McGinnis for this nonpartisan legislation that was desperately needed. But every agency head is going to be signing off on the audit plan, be certifying it, that it was done in accordance with internal audit standards. So coming up, all of the agency heads will be signing off on the internal audit plan at their agency. You'll be certifying that it was done in accordance with standards. And also, in addition to that, is every agency head will be signing off on the audits that are being done, the internal audits that are being done, that they were done in accordance with standards. And then, of course, you've got me coming back around to check. So anyway, I just want to make y'all aware that there are no surprises moving into this new year. Also, the report that we have been putting out as a council is changed extensively. The statute for the Internal Audit Act says that we will let the General Assembly and the governor know about the efforts towards internal audit. And so you're going to find the new report much more informative, but those that are not doing what they should be, again, it's going to be bringing that to light to the General Assembly and the governor. So just want to make everybody aware of what's coming up for 2023 so that you can be prepared. You probably want to get a copy of that report to see the kind of stats. And it's looking at stuff like, not only did you get your internal audit plan in by September 30, which is about all we reported on before, but we're going to be reporting on, here was your plan, here's how many audits you plan to do, and how many did you get done, and how many findings did you have, and how many recommendations were implemented. That's going to be more important to you than whether or not you were on time getting your plan into the council staff. And I want to give a shout out to Barbara Baldwin from OSBM and the phenomenal job she's done in helping us get this very critical function. Now, I've heard me say this over and over again. There's nothing more important than your internal audit function within your agencies and ensuring that you're meeting your responsibilities to the citizens of North Carolina. And the other thing I will say is thank you, Governor, for your efforts towards broadband and internet across the state. My sister living in Jones County for the first time in her entire life has got internet in Route 1, Trenton. It was Friday, it got installed. I'll also say my sister's got cancer. She's undergoing chemotherapy. It's extremely drastic. And she is home for the next year because of these chemotherapy treatments. And so to be able to have internet at home, I can go and stay with her when she's needing me. I can work for her home now. Before, when I was there back in June, I had to drive into Trenton, sit outside the Piggly Wiggly and work on my computer. And now I can work from her home while I'm there helping to take care of her. So thank any and every one of you that were instrumental in getting internet service into Route 1, Jones County. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you. The American Rescue Plan, the bipartisan infrastructure plan, the legislature appropriating that money to DIT to get it done, the great grants getting out there. It is amazing that we now have the resources to connect all families to high-speed internet access across our state. So we need to keep working to get that done. And thanks for that story. Commissioner Causey, are you on?
He declined.
Okay.
He gave me his time, which I was happy to use.
And I think the Lieutenant Governor is not with us today. So thank you for the reports today. Yesterday in Wayne County, 3 Wayne County law enforcement officers with the sheriff's office tried to serve a document on someone. That person shot all 3 of them. The person then turned the gun on himself. 2 of the deputies are going to recover. Last night I was talking to Sheriff Pierce. Sergeant Matthew Fishman last night was in critical condition with his family. I was just passed a note that Sergeant Fishman has died. And today I want us to adjourn this meeting in honor of Wayne County Sergeant Matthew Fishman and of all of our law enforcement officers who are courageously doing their jobs and who have been injured and killed in the line of duty. All in favor of that unanimous motion, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.